The most awesome thing about being protected by God and knowing that you are divinely protected no matter what happens, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, is that you know that your mind cannot be occupied by nincompoops. A lot of people out here are nincompoops. They're just people that want to take advantage of others, and it's so easy to spot. It's so easy to see. And then there's more sophisticated people where, yeah, they might be a little bit more snake-like, but they are absolutely, positively going to make it known one way or another that you are not on their team. But the thing is like, when you're on a team and you are connected to each other, you all want similar things in life. You all have aligned goals. And when you share things with each other, when you have more of a positive influence on each other, when you have more of a positive impact on each other, it's like everything just enhances your ability to make it harder for you to be killed, not only as an individual, but as a group. And this is something that I brought up with the Regal Change Academy group recently, is I made a post in the academy about how we need more people that are sharing creative endeavors. We need more people that are sharing their business, what it is that they're doing. Because the more rich your friends and the more rich you are, and the more, and I mean richness in one of two ways. Rich as in spiritually rich, as well as rich as in, money-wise. Because make no mistake, as long as we are on this world and in this world, we have to have money. Okay, we have to have money. It's just the way that it is. I don't like it. I really don't. But I want to know how the game works so I can have the mindset of money loves me so much that I'll never be broke again. Okay, and that's just my mindset. That's the way that I view my life. I don't view my life as anything else because I don't have, it's kind of funny in an ironic way, I can't afford to not think like this. And no matter what you're going through in life, if you just have the mindset of I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to do something this, I'm going to do something there, I'm going to do something here. If you just have the mindset of not stopping, refusing to give up, man, this morning I woke up, I felt really well rested. For the first time in a few days, I was really well rested. I had a lot of interesting dreams last night, and sometimes when I dream and when I wake up from the dream more naturally than it being just in the middle of the dream and I happen to wake up because of the content of the dream, I usually have this more deeper relaxed sensation that comes into play. And so that's what happened this morning, is I had woken up from a dream and I had felt very relaxed. I felt very calm. Very cool, calm, collected. I felt like even though I maybe wasn't 100% here yet, I was just very at ease and in the flow with everything going on. Because sometimes my mind works faster than my mouth. And so the key is to think as you're speaking. That's something that I've learned how to do mainly through YouTube and videos on X and such, is where I need to learn how to think as I speak so that way everything is coalescing with one another and everything's more authentic and grimy in some sense. It's raw, and that's really what I want. Whereas making a book, this is my new book that I came out with last week, the book of Oldishness. And something that I learned while writing the book is that I get to edit all the time. I get to reform and strategize my thoughts in such a profound way, because really what I wanted to do with this book was I wanted to make it so artistic and intellectually sound as I possibly could. That was my goal, was to just make it beautiful in the semantics, beautiful in the vocabulary as I could possibly make it. And what I found is that the more I wrote in that way, the more I began to speak in that way. but it's still something as a skill I'm still learning how to really master. Like if I were to really start editing books and whatnot, I could totally edit books. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. I could start editing books. I could help people how to publish their book online now, like because I've gone through it and I've already had sales. Like I know what to do. I know how to market things. You know, it's like I know what to do. I know the process. And I know that a lot of times in life, we don't always want to trust the process, especially when it comes to like business or just like things in life where we know that it's make it or break it time, right? We know that it's do or die. And your back is against the wall, but you have to just trust that if you move forward face first into adversity, God's going to cover your back. Because as soon as you start to run away from the adversity, as soon as you start to try to like, oh, I want to be comfortable again. I want to be comfortable. Now, there's nothing wrong with coping, okay? However you need to cope, like you're going to cope that way. Now, there's going to be harmful ways of coping and there's going to be helpful ways of coping. I don't like how we've had this negative connotation with cope, the word cope in our culture. But the thing is like, with like this was a cope. Like to some degree this was a cope, because I had like the whole book is centered around visions that I had from the global lockdowns and the pandemic, where I have 38 visions in this book that I go through, that I psychoanalyze and that I philosophize as a interpretation following those visions. And that itself, I had to do this. Like I had to do this because I didn't understand what was happening. I thought I was going nuts to some degree because I had heard of no one having like legitimate visions. Okay, I didn't know this was actually something that you could have as a person. And now I'm of the mindset, really, it's not a belief, it's more of a mindset that anybody can have visions. Anybody can have like these kinds of prophetic dreams and visions or whatnot. It's a matter of skill and the kinds of gifts that God have bestowed upon you intertwined. Like your mind itself is an electromagnetic satellite, right? So what's going to happen ultimately is that you have to make certain decisions and you have to have certain modes of being in which you optimize and allow the frequency to come through, to really establish itself in your life. And it's a frequency that you attune yourself to. Okay, and that was something that I didn't even realize what I was doing, because it kind of happened. Like when I had these visions, when I had these dreams, it just happened. Okay, it wasn't something that I was seeking. It was just I was meditating, and then all of a sudden I started to have like these visions. And I started to have like, I call them characters of the unconscious in my book, because they're manifested archetypes and psychopomps, a lot of them. And I didn't know what was going on. Like I didn't really know, but I knew that to understand them would lead me toward a life of fulfillment. I knew that to understand them, I would lead my soul to a better place than it was. And the dreams and the visions specifically that I referred to in this book, specifically the visions, but there are a few dreams that coalesce and co-align with the visions that I briefly mentioned that are intertwined, right? So that was from April of 2020 until about October, November of 2020. But I started having visions in January of 2020. But I didn't really start documenting them in the way that I do in this book, because these are like, they're legitimate documentations. Everything is factual in there. I'm not saying it's right or wrong as far as like the morality or whatever happens within those visions is correct. I'm just saying that it is a fact that that is what was happening. And I just kept pursuing it. And you know what's crazy is God protected me throughout all of those things. But the thing that I always found the most difficulty with trusting God's protection with, it was never the spiritual. It was always the physical. And it was because I was not connected to the reality of life, like my upper chakras, you could say, were always more active than my lower chakras. And now it's not that way at all. Like everything is fairly balanced. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I would be doing. Now, of course, there's going to be days where maybe you're feeling more connected to God than others, and other times you're feeling more connected to the earth. But no matter what, you're balanced to some degree. And even if things are going terrible, you're balanced. And that's what's amazing about being on the spiritual path is like, if you truly have faith, if you truly walk by faith and not by sight, if you have absolute faith, like last night, I had a dream with Jesus and his disciples. And I was with Simon Peter and I was with John. And we were drinking tea with Jesus. It was like on a ship. And basically, I was starting to tell John and Simon Peter, I was telling them in the dream, I was like, the reason that I wanted to follow Christ for so long but never did, I wanted to believe but I never did, was because I couldn't trust the miracles. And they were like, yeah, that's a good one. That makes sense. You know, I could never trust the miracles. I could accept that Jesus was a real person, but I never could accept that Jesus was God himself. That was just something up until I was actually a follower of Christ, I could never understand or contemplate. I just never bought it because I couldn't believe the miracles. And now it's almost as if the miracles of God just being revealed in my life, that I always have a path. Like, it's so crazy, you know, it's so crazy. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It sure as heck doesn't mean that it's going to be simple all the time. But God's ways are simple. It might be complex in how that pans out, but the way itself is simple. The way itself is clear. And he always provides a way. Like, it blows my mind. But at the same time, it never blows my mind because I know I have absolute faith that there's going to be a way out. There's going to be a way that I can get to where I need to go. There's going to be a way where I know that God's got me. I know that God is protecting me. And God is protecting you. This is just something that you really just need to have full faith in and acknowledge and be grateful for it. I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful for this moment. You know what I was thinking about is how I can make a video like this where in real time, like my spirit is here. And even though people are not physically here, people are going to be watching this within their spirit, and through their own physical domain. And then we have the possibility of meeting in the physical and the spiritual domain or not. But the thing that's true, because I mean, if somebody watches this video like 100 years from now, which I have no clue. I have no clue what's going to happen like tomorrow. Like as far as the technology goes, anything can happen, especially with AI and crypto and all that. Like who knows, right? But like, if somebody watches this video a year from now, they're feeling my spirit. And it's the same kind of thing with like books, or it's the same kind of like books are portals, right? Books are portals. I remember this is the best book I ever happened to stumble upon ever. The Psychology and Alchemy by Carl Jung. It was the best possible book that I could ever stumble upon in my life, ever. It changed my world perspective in a way that was so profound, I didn't even know what was actually happening as I was reading it. And that's the kind of impact that I want to have with my books, is like, there's something so simple yet so profound that it's changing the way that people are seeing reality. Because that's my goal. I want to revolutionize psychology and spirituality. And if I have to die trying to do that, then at least I'll know that I'll be doing what I was made to be doing. Because I feel as though, it's not even like I feel it, it's like I know it, and I can feel it in my bones, but I also know it. It's a knowing. And so you just have to trust that God is protecting you no matter what. And that's a big order. That's a tall order for some people, and I get it. Look, I completely understand, man. I completely get it. But faith is just such a beautiful thing, and gratitude is just such a beautiful thing, and it grounds you in such a way that you can have some relief. You know, it's like, okay, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be doable. And I'm going to walk by faith and not by sight. And that's just the way that I live my life. And it's proven to be not the easiest at all. It's very difficult sometimes. And sure, like, your faith is tried and tested. But then there are resolves. There's these moments of resolve, and where your resilience just really stands out. And it's like, that's it right there. That's it. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed. You're protected. Okay, you're divinely protected. And believe it. And I know it's like, believe it and it'll be true. It's like, no, your thoughts are your reality. And that's what's crazy. Like, you have such a power. You are so much more powerful than you could possibly imagine. And I'm going to leave you with that. So peace be with you all. Until next time.